The third thing a would-be dictator always does is to create a paramilitary force that is not directed by the people. Any suggestions? Blackwater. That's right. I mean, when I lie awake at night, out of all these things, this is the one that scares me most.
Hey, all these fuckers right here.
Blackwater is a paramilitary force headed by a guy, Eric Prince, with close ties to the White House. Eric Prince's family's wealth has contributed over $2.4 million to the Republican Party and its candidates.
Blackwater alone has secured more than $500 million in federal security contracts since the year 2000. Two-thirds of those contracts are what is known as no bids.
Who needs ammo? Lay on it, son.
Most Americans don't know that Blackwater contractors are hand-picked torturers and murderers from countries that torture and murder their own civilians.
Do you have any qualms about hiring people out of Chile to participate actively in this war?
I believe the persons of that country have a free right to contract.
Now, most of us know that Blackwater is operating pretty much outside the rule of law by design in Iraq, and we know they murdered 17 civilians in cold blood.
Having used security contractors in place of our soldiers and in a security capacity, we still haven't come down to the bottom line of how they will be held accountable.
You do admit that Blackwater personnel have shot and killed innocent civilians, don't you?
No, sir, I disagree with that. There could be ricochets, there are traffic accidents. Yes, this is war.
Can you tell me, was an investigation ever conducted?
Congressman, if you will, we will get back to you with the full details.
Are you refusing to answer, or is that...
Congressman, I will have to check on that for you.
We've had a better response from Blackwater than we have from the State Department on getting information.
It's the question of when things go wrong, where is the accountability?
When the FBI tried to investigate, the State Department blocked the investigation. Now, when the state starts to protect its own murderers, a very dangerous corner has been turned.
I asked your Secretary of Defense a couple months ago what law governs their actions. Mr.
I was going to ask him. Go ahead. Help.
Well, I was hoping.
Blackwater is this horrific stealth threat to me because I have read history and I know what you can do even in a functioning democracy with a handful of paramilitary terrorizing people. For example, Mussolini, always the great innovator, started to bring Italy to its knees by using black shirts. He called them arditi. They were veterans returning from the war, and he would send them in a targeted way, go beat up that newspaper editor, go beat up this politician. And it's intimidating. Finally, there were scenes of when actual parliamentarians were getting threatened by these black shirts, they started to cave. And this prepared the way for Mussolini to triumph. And so, of course, Hitler knew something that worked when he saw it, so he deployed the brown shirts. So why is a paramilitary force so alarming? Why do we have the Fourth Amendment? The founders knew what it does to ordinary citizens to have a standing army that is erected not by the people, not accountable to the people. They made sure that the National Guard, our militias, are answerable to the people. That's why they made sure that there's posse comitatus, which means that the police are a domestic force, a civilian force, that we don't have a military occupation of our streets, okay? And that's one of the things that makes the United States different from countries all over the world where they know the state can break in.
Blackwater Worldwide's high-risk warrant hostage rescue course is designed to teach proven tactics on the most common situations.
Many of us don't know that Blackwater is already operating in the United States. In New Orleans, in the wake of Hurricane Katrina, Jeremy Scahill reports that there were contractors shooting at civilians in Katrina.
I was in New Orleans in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, and I saw Blackwater mercenaries speeding up and down the streets in unmarked cars, heavily armed with M4 machine guns, flak jackets, other weapons strapped to their legs.
The nation's largest private security company may build a world-class training facility in Kootenai County. The Idaho Post Academy has signed a letter of intent to work with Blackwater if the company decides to build in the region.
We feel Blackwater's reputation will hurt Idaho's reputation.
This is the thing that keeps me awake nights. Out of all these steps, when I travel, I'm in Chicago, people say, oh yeah, Blackwater just established a beachhead in Illinois at the mouth of the Mississippi River. I'm in Southern California, people in San Diego are like, yeah, we're just fighting this really hard fight because Blackwater wants to establish a presence along the border, getting into border control. And their business plan calls for them to be increasingly active, monitoring protests. Their website has a focus on Midtown Manhattan. A paramilitary force. You can't close down an open society without one.
We've got a crisis. We're at war. The enemy is plotting to attack us. This proposal will allow us to gather intelligence information on that enemy that we otherwise would not get.